Hello everyone, welcome to Study IQ. So today we are going to discuss about buffer stocks. Okay, so in this session we are going to talk about what are buffer stocks, okay, and how is it maintained, why is it maintained, and all those things will be covered. What are the objectives of buffer stocks, okay, and who is maintaining buffer stocks, and what are the buffer stock norms, and what are the issues associated to it. All those things will be covered in this session. And apart from that, shortly I will also discuss about PDS, okay, public distribution system, and also the problems associated to PDS. Okay, so let's get started. Now the first question is who's maintaining the buffer stocks. Okay, so it is actually maintained by FCI under Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution, Food Corporation of India under Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution. Okay, it is maintained since fourth 5-year plan, that is in 1969 onwards. We are maintaining buffer stocks. Now, what are the objectives of buffer stocks? The main objective is basically food security, then price stabilization, and also to operationalize PDS, that is public distribution system. Okay, public distribution system, and other welfare schemes like National Food Security Act and all these things. We'll be covering in detail later about National Food Security Act, but these are the objectives of buffer stocks, okay, to ensure food security, price stabilization, because if the buffer stock is there with the government in times of crisis, if there is a volatility, government can use this buffer stock to maintain that maintain or stabilizing the prices. Okay, so that is also one of the objective of maintaining buffer stock. Then two most important objective is basically to operationalize PDS, okay, the distribution which is done through the ration shops and all. For that you need grains, and that will be from the buffer stocks, okay, and also for the other welfare schemes. Now there are certain buffer stock norms. Okay, now this buffer stock norms are actually fixed by Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. Before, when we discussed about MSP, procurement price, and all those things, we have already discussed that it is fixed by Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs based on the recommendations of CSCP. Okay, so this Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, which is actually headed by the Prime Minister. Okay, so headed by the Prime Minister, they are fixing these norms. Okay, what are the norms? I'll tell you, which is already there. Now these norms are revised after every 5 years. Okay, so the Cabinet Committee on CCEA is actually fixing these norms, revised every 5 years, and the latest revision was in 2015, and the next revision will be in 2020, because every 5 years it will be revised. Now generally buffer stocks are actually maintained in terms of wheat and rice. Okay, range is basically from 21 million ton to 41 million ton. Okay, so wheat and rice together, it has to be 21 million ton to 41 million ton, and I tell you when 21 million and when it is varying to 41 million ton, and all those things will be discussed now. Okay, now the buffer stock of pulses also created recently, that is 2 million ton. Okay, but that is under price stabilization scheme that we have already discussed in some other lecture. Okay, so 2 million ton buffer stock was created for pulses, that is under price stabilization scheme. Okay, now what are the buffer norms? These are the buffer norms. Okay, we have already discussed this point. It is revised every 5 years, and the latest revision was happened in 2015, that we have already discussed. And these are the buffer stock norms which you need to remember, okay, as per the latest revision. So by 1st Jan it has to be 21.41 million tons. Okay, 21.41 million tons, okay, in terms of wheat and rice. Then 1st April it has to be 20.04 million ton, and 1st July 41.12 million ton, 1st October 30.77 million ton. These are the buffer stock norms. Okay, so the government have to maintain buffer stocks as per these norms. But the most important problem, or the most important issue, is actually excess buffer stocks apart from those norms. The norms are already given, norms are already discussed, but the buffer stocks which is maintained is actually more than this, and that lead to wastages, and all these things will be discussed in the issues when we are going to discuss it after some time. Okay, now this quantity, why is it varying? Is actually varying because of two reasons. The two reasons are related to the production. Okay, so you already know that wheat is a rabi crop and rice is a kharif crop. So based on the season it will vary, based on the production it will vary, and also based on the requirement. Okay, so different region requirement is different, and different people's requirements are different. So based on that, the variations in buffer stock norms will be there. So variations in buffer stock norms you can see based on these two reasons, is either due to production or due to requirement, or the combination of both. Production means I'm talking about kharif and rabi season. Okay, so it also or I can say it is also depending on the season. Okay, so production, requirement, and also season. So that's about buffer stock norms. Now one important fact that you can remember is actually 1/3 of the wheat and rice produced in India is actually procured by FCI. Okay, out of which the current ratio is 45% wheat and 55% rice. Okay, so out of the total production, 1/3 is actually procured by FCI under buffer stock, and that is actually excess beyond the norms. Okay, now you can see it was like 250 million tons, etc. Was if it is the production, 1/3 means close to 60-80 million tons is actually procured by FCI. So what are the maximum as per the norms? 41.12. That's why I told you that lead to wastages. Okay, now let's look into the issues associated with excessive stocking or issues associated with buffer stock. So the most important problem is actually excessive stocking. I told you already 1/3 is actually procured by FCI out of the total wheat and rice which is produced in India, and that lead to wastages. That is apart from the buffer stock norms which is actually suggested by CACA, Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, CCEA. Okay. Then the problem is limited storage facility. The warehousing, the cold storage facilities are not up to the mark. So that is a common problem. Then the problem with wastage. Okay. Mishandling and corruption, common problem. The relevance of holding excessive stock has reduced because of significant forex reserves. Actually, this point is talking about significant forex reserve that we are getting. Now, if you are exporting instead of storing, you will get forex reserve. Okay. So that is actually an advantage. You can maintain a forex reserve, and if you have a very good forex reserve, you can later import also in case of any shortage. Why we are maintaining buffer stock? Buffer stock, I told you already, this is for price stabilization. One of the need is actually price stabilization apart from food security. So if in case of a situation, in case of a crisis, if you can import, then that problem could be solved. If there is a shortage in onion, if there is a shortage in some other commodities, if you can import, that problem could be solved. Now, if you need to import, you should have a huge forex. Now, how can you do that? You can earn forex by exporting. So in good times, you can export, you can earn forex so that there won't be any wastage. So rather than keeping just like in the FCI without any proper cold storage or warehousing facility, so you can export it, you can earn forex, and in times of crisis, you can actually import, and that can be a good idea. Okay, then trade policy is better and cost effective price stabilization measures than stocking. There is no need to have a stocking, too much stocking, as long as we don't have this proper facilities for storing all this commodities. There is no point in excessive stocking. So instead, what you can do is cost effective price stabilization measures and a better trade policy. If you have a better trade policy, the previous point that we have told will be applicable here. Okay. Now let's look into the Shantakumar Committee recommendation on stocking and movement of grains. So the first point is actually the FCI should outsource its stocking operation to center and state warehousing corporations and private warehouses. So FCI should outsource their stocking to center warehousing corporations or state warehousing corporations, or even to the private warehouses, so that the wastages could be solved. Okay, that problem could be solved. Second, the covered and plinth storage. Covered and plinth means CAP, the short form. Covered and plinth storage means you use some plastic covers, okay, and you just cover it, the grains, and you store it, and that is a ad hoc arrangement which is done temporary purpose, but mostly it will be like that for long period of time. Okay, so that covered and plinth arrangement should not be there, should be phased out, and no grain should remain under CAP covered and plinth for over 3 months. So maximum period which should be under that plastic cover, the coverage should be 3 months, and beyond that it should not be allowed. So covered and plinth arrangement should go away. Okay. The third bag, silo bag conventional storage should be replaced. Silo bag conventional storage should replace CAP, covered and plinth arrangement. Okay, that should not be there. You can instead go for silo bag. That is comparatively better. Okay, and these are silo bags are some kind of metallic storages. Okay, so these are some small containers, metallic containers, so it will be safe. Okay, next is storage and movement of grains should be automated and containerized. Okay, so proper automation and containerization should be there. Then storage sacks should have ears for holding. See now how it is unloading and all these things create a lot of problem. You just take it and put it away, so a lot of wastages will be there while loading and unloading. So this suggestion is actually you can have some ears so that you can hold it, right? So you can hold it so that it will be properly loaded and properly unloaded without any wastage of grain. The FCI should dispose of the excess stocks over buffer stock norms. See, one of the most important problem that we have discussed is actually FCI have a stocking which is over the buffer stock norms, okay, which is suggested by the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. So what Shantakumar committee recommending is you should dispose of that excess stocks apart from the buffer stock norms through open market sale scheme or export, okay. So open market sale scheme or export. So you either export so that you can earn forex, or you pump in the open market so that the price can be stabilized also, rather than keeping it in the FCI and wasting it, okay. So these are about buffer stocks. So we have discussed it. It is maintained since 4th 5-year plan by FCI under Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution. The objectives are food security, price stabilization, and to operationalize PDS and other welfare schemes, okay. And these norms are fixed by Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, which is headed by the Prime Minister, and it is usually revised every 5 years, and the latest revision which was happened in 2015. And as per the norms, this should be the condition which has to be met. 1st Jan it has to be 21.41 million tons. April 1st 20.04, 1st July 41.12, 1st October 30.77. Okay, now these are the issues that we have already discussed: excessive stocking, limited storage facility, wasting, okay, mishandling and corruption, and all those things. Then the Shantakumar committee recommendation, which is also equally important, which you have to remember, and you can write it as your own suggestion, or you can write it as Shantakumar committee recommendation. Okay, next we will move on to PDS or public distribution system. Okay, public distribution system. Now what are PDS? It refers to the system of distribution of food grains or essential commodities by the government to the public at subsidized prices through fair price shops. These ration shops is what you mean by PDS, okay. So distribution of food grain or essential commodities by the government to the public at a subsidized prices. So these are the keywords, you'll get it at a subsidized prices through fair price shops. That's what you mean by PDS, or the so-called ration shops, okay. Now it is operationalized by FCI, okay, Food Corporation of India, on behalf of central government, okay. FCI on behalf of central government. It is responsible for procurement, okay, storage and transportation of food grains. Okay, the state governments are responsible for distribution of food grain and other essential commodities through FPS. So we have already discussed this. FCI on behalf of central government is responsible for procurement, storage and transportation of food grain. Now in the state government are responsible for distribution of food grains, okay, and other essential commodities through FPS. Now food grains are sold by FCI to state at central issue price, okay. So the FCI is selling the food grains at central issue price, and food grains are sold to the public at issue price. Now, what is the difference between central issue price and issue price? See, FCI is selling it to the government at central issue price. Let's suppose rice is sold by FCI to the state government. Let's say 5 rupees, okay. Now state government cannot sell the same rice at more than 5 rupees, okay. You cannot sell it beyond 5 rupees. So state government have to sell this rice either at 5 rupees or less than that, okay. So if it is 5 rupees, if the state government is also selling at 5 rupees, actually central issue price and the issue price are same. If the state government is also giving some subsidy apart from the subsidy which is given by the center, that means in Tamil Nadu government, if they are giving some subsidy, the price of rice will come down to 2 rupee or 1 rupee, something like that, okay. So suppose if in the state it is sold at, let's say, 3 rupees, rice is sold at 3 rupees. So you can say central issue price is 5 rupee and issue price is 3 rupee. So the state is also giving 2 rupee subsidy here, okay. So that is the difference between central issue price and issue price. We don't say state issue price, it is a issue price, okay. So the issue price can never be more than central issue price, but it can be lesser. And how it can be lesser? It is because of the subsidy which is given by the state government, okay, apart from the subsidy which is given by the central government, okay. Now in 1997 this PDS was restructured into targeted PDS, okay, TPDS. So PDS to TPDS in 1997, and the population is actually divided into two categories: APL above poverty line and BPL below poverty line. Now we need to look into the issue price. Okay, so issue price means the price at which the state is giving it to the people. Okay, now issue price for APL is actually economic cost of FCI. This is last year prelims question, this economic cost of FCI. Okay, and for BPL it is half of economic cost of FCI. Okay, so in 1997 PDS to TPDS population is divided into two, APL and BPL. That means, or two categories of people. That means it is universally covered for everybody. It is either APL or BPL. Now when it comes to National Food Security Act, that you need to remember, there are some sections are excluded. That 33% is excluded. That we will be covering later. But here it is a universal coverage. Okay, APL and BPL. For APL it is the economic cost of FCI, and for BPL half of economic cost of FCI. Now what do you mean by economic cost of FCI? Economic cost of FCI means actually the total cost of FCI. Okay, total cost of FCI. Now it includes all this procurement, storage, transportation, everything will be there. So procurement means under procurement prices or under MSP. So okay, then storage, then transportation. Okay, so that is what you mean by economic cost. See, now the problem is, since the FCI is not that efficient, the economic cost is actually going to be very high. Now forget about this procurement price. Okay, the storage expenditure is more and the transportation expenditure is more. Out of this, the storage expenditure is very, very high. A lot of wastage is also there. Okay, so eventually what will happen is the economic cost will go high. Sometimes it will go even above the market price. Okay, so you can assume now, if it goes above the market price, and if you are selling at economic cost to the APL people will never buy under economic cost, or APL people will never buy from ration shops. Okay, rather they can buy it from the market, because in market the price is actually less than the economic cost. Okay, so slowly the government changed the rate, and the government actually reduced the rate later. Now in 2000, one more division is created, that is the third division under Antyodaya Anna Yojana, which is initiated in 2000. Antyodaya households. See, so Antyodaya Anna Yojana scheme was actually introduced in 2000. Antyodaya Anna Yojana. Under the scheme, actually 1 crore poor households are identified, and they were provided with grains at a very subsidized rate. Okay, so they have given coarse grain at 1 rupee, wheat at 2 rupee, and rice at 3 rupee. Okay, so they were given grains at a very subsidized rate. Okay, now this was actually it was 1 crore initially. Now it was increased to 2.5 crore. Okay, so 2.5 crore households, not 2.5 crore population. So if you calculate on an average 5 means it is around 12.5 crore people are covered under this. Okay, now this 2.5 crore is actually now in NFSA, National Food Security Act, that we'll have to cover later. Okay, so I hope you understood the third division which is created. What is the allocation? So allocation under TPDS is actually 10 kilogram per month per household. Okay, later it was increased to 20 kilogram, and now it is increased to 35 kilogram per household. Okay, now the wheat and rice ratio will vary between states. Okay, so now as of now it is 35 kilogram per household. Now let's look into the issues associated to PDS. Okay, the issues are mainly, you can see here, leakages, one of the most important issue, poor quality of grains. See, actually you are supposed to get the good quality of grains from ration shops, because under MSP or under procurement price, government is getting the grain for the first time. So when the government is getting the grain for the first time, government have to get the best grain, right? The best quality grain. But because of leakages, because of corruption and mishandling and wastages and all this problem, you are not getting the good grains. Okay, and see, actually these are Antyodaya households. For them it is they are considering it as very big thing that they are getting the rice for 1 rupee or rice for 3 rupee, wheat for 2 rupee, etc. Nobody is going to complain also. Okay, so that is the reason why this problem is still continuing. Otherwise you are supposed to get the good quality of rice and wheat or the grains from ration shops. Regional disparities in distribution, that's a common problem. Urban bias in the initial phase. Okay, limited benefits to poor, especially migrant workers and people without proper registered address. Okay, it resulted in increase in food prices. because in market the grains are not available. Everything is actually procured by the FCI. I told you 1/3 of the rice and wheat is actually procured by FCI. So in market there is a shortage in supply. So when the supply is reducing, the prices will go up. It reduces the supply of food grains in open market. Yes, these two are actually connected. Reduce the supply of food grain in open market. So supply reduce means effectively price will go down, right? See, supply reduce means if this is the demand curve and this is the supply curve, okay, normally this is the equilibrium position. Now imagine the demand remain the same, supply is actually reduced. Okay, supply reduced means supply curve shift leftward. So you can see this is a price and this is the quantity. So price is going up. Okay, so you can see the price is actually going up, and that is what we have discussed here. It resulted in increase in food grain prices. Okay, inefficiencies in operation of FCI, that is again a common problem. So that's about this particular session. So we have discussed about buffer stocks, buffer stock norms, objectives of buffer stock, issues related to buffer stocks, Shantakumar committee. We've talked about PDS, we've talked about TPDS and all these issues also. Now if you have any doubt, you can get back to me in this number. This is my number. Or you can see me in this, this is my Instagram ID, okay? So I hope to get connected to you, so you can message to any of this if you have any doubt. If you need any help regarding civil service preparation, you can get in touch with me, okay? So see you guys.